Hello, hello. I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights, and I want to thank you for joining us today. And if you're not a subscriber already, if you wouldn't mind hitting that button, you won't miss a single episode. Now, this morning, we got a special person on site here. This is Bob Zaslow, and we'll call him Mr. Z because that's how the world knows him. Good morning, Bob.
Well, good morning, Strider.
Now, the world does know you as Mr. Z, but how did that come about?
Oh, back when I was a teacher, I taught in the Bronx in New York City. And uh, my students call Zaslow is a hard name to pronounce
It is.
for a lot of folks. Zaslow doesn't trip off the tongue very well. So my students just call me Mr. Z. And I was an art teacher and a music teacher, but mostly an art teacher. And then after school, I taught the homebound children. I taught every subject, science, math, everything, creative writing. And but that's how they know me, Mr. Z. And so when I started writing 2017, maybe children's books, I used that nom de plume because it's the one I'm most familiar with as a teacher and now as an author. It just sort of works. You've heard of Dr. Seuss, Mr. Z.
Yep, Mr. Z. There you go. And you have a Mr. Z story time.
mrzstorytime.com.
That's right, no spaces. mrzstorytime.com. And you've got a real push. I mean, you've got more than a dozen books, I think, something like that.
16. I'm working on the 17th now.
Wow, that's production. And they're all kids' books, right? Now, what age group are they really set up for?
Oh, it's a large area from 4 to 8 approximately.
Mm-hmm.
And then my newest book, A Pucker of Lemons, and 19 other zany collections of nouns, is really written for slightly older kids who can understand the puns and the jokes. But you've heard of a flock of birds or a pride of lions, a pucker of lemons. I thought was I have 20 collective nouns that have weird, like a rise of bakers and
That's good.
a string of kites. And
Is that a coloring book?
it's a coloring book.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a book that dear to my heart.
Okay. How do you say that? I saw the title, but
It's called Oi G Biv.
OG Biv.
Now, if you're I don't know if this is true in Washington State, but in New York State, we learn the colors of the rainbow as Roy G. Biv: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And this is the story of how Red, one day decided he had enough and he left the rainbow. And it's the story of how they got him back and what the world was like.
Without the color.
Without the color. The red balloon just became a transparent balloon. So it's a really fun
I
book.
like it. And that's true. I think the first time I bumped into your work was the Methuselah tree book.
Yeah, it's The Mayfly and the Methuselah Tree, which
The Mayfly and the Methuselah tree.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to say it won a gold the Book Fest in 2023 for best children's book.
Not only do you get it for kids and reach out to kids, you do it well, you write well, you've got good artwork in it. That's important because, yeah, it's like we buy a book by the cover. Kids read the book by the pictures, really, because they're just learning the words and they have to build that story together in their mind. Very cool.
And I want to tell your listeners anyone who does write children's books, I self-publish, and I didn't hire a big firm to do this for me. I went to Fiverr mostly, and I guess Upwork, and I looked among hundreds of illustrators for the ones that I thought would fit my book, the theme and the feeling of my book. And so I found about 3 or 4 that I used several times, and I'm so happy with them.
And I have used both Fiverr and Upworks and other hits. And by the way, DurhamandPublishing.com has an author's resources page where you can find things like artists for books and book cover art and editors and things. So that's another place to look other than those outside sources. So there are some other options there too to use. And it's just direct links to those services. And so 12 books. Okay, let's run down through the titles of them. I've got them somewhere here. Why don't you run down through the titles?
Well, so this is the one that has the most accolades, the Mayfly and the Methuselah Tree. And it asks the question, what if the world's shortest lived creature, the Mayfly, one day, right, bumped into the longest living creature, the Methuselah
The
tree, which is
Methuselah tree.
in
Yeah.
California, it's 4,800 years old approximately. And I thought, what would happen? And I wrote the story and it about how the mayfly is like, oh, wow, it's a new day. Everything is new. Everything is brilliant. Everything is wonderful. It's first time. There's no history, no comparison. It's just in that present moment. And then the Methuselah tree is all about, oh, another day. I don't smell the flowers anymore. And ultimately, by the end of the book, oh, I won't give it away. No, it doesn't. By
Hey,
the end of the
I
book,
have read the book, so I
well,
know. I
well,
That's
it's a
great. It's fun.
transformation.
I love the concept of the shortest lived versus the longest lived, how they view things differently, how they see them. And also, for those of you listening, you can see why he's so good at this because he's got a heart here. He's got information, he's got the story, he's got ways of putting together. I love it.
Um,
So you
and
got
it's,
Who Am I? And you've
oh,
got
oh,
Why Am I Here?
yes, it's a series.
There's this kind of a three or four book series of that
Three,
kind of thing.
thank you for mentioning this. I'm really proud of this. This is based a three-part series based on a boy named Mark, and it's called the Question Mark series
I
because
like that. Yeah,
he's very inquisitive. And Mark is here. He is. He's based on. Here's some other beautiful illustrations. He's based on boys that I knew in the Bronx teaching fifth grade or between first and fifth grade, and inquisitive, bright young kids who ask questions that sometimes adults can't even answer. So yeah, it's a three-part series, and it did win. Uh, oh, I don't have the sticker on it, but it did win Best Children's Book Series. Or it was the Book Fest.
all right, all righty.
So
And you've got other books out there. You've got
well, let
Really
me.
Really Pinky.
This is one of my very first, the first or second book. Really Pinky is based on a Zen story about a farmer who has has a horse, and the horse leaves, and his neighbors say, "Oh, how sad, how sad. That's too bad." And the farmer says, "Oh, we'll see." Then the horse comes back with two other horses, and the neighbors say, "Oh, how lucky, how fortunate." Well, we'll see, we'll see. And then his son goes out and tries to tame one of the horses, and he breaks his leg. In doing so, he falls down. And the neighbor says, "Oh, what a shame." Farmer says, "We'll see, we'll see." And then the king's men come and they conscript young men for the army, but not his son because he has a broken leg, and so on. And I took that story and I turned it into, I call it a Taoist parable. It's called Really Pinky. That was my
Well,
first or
you've
second
got
book.
just a ton of books. You've got How the Sloth Got His Smile,
That
Burton
was
the Most Beautiful Snowflake,
oh geez,
just book after Joy's Compass. You have
Joy
so.
Compass. It's about a little girl, Joy, who is she's kind of spoiled, and she lives in probably around the turn of the century. And one day, she nothing is good enough for her. And one day, a man in a cart, a peddler, comes by and offers things for sale, inexpensive things. And he gives her a compass. It's a magic compass. It doesn't just tell north, south, east, and west. It takes her on a journey to to destinations that help her see the world as it really is, see the truth of helping others. Each time she does, she feels a little spark in her heart of joy until she realizes that there's so much so much in life is the joy you get is from the giving others. That's where the happiness comes from. So she learned that. Here in my other book, The Shy Little Rosebud, it's about this rose, it's the gardener, who is it's a purple rose, and she's very sensitive about her purpleness because she's among white roses and yellow roses and
She's
red
different.
pink roses, and she refuses to bloom. She's a bud, and she thinks I'm just a purple. They'll make fun of me.
Uh,
And so she she's staying inside her shell, and it takes her finally realizing she has two choices. She can either uh, take this pain of remaining closed and being against nature, or open up to the unknown and experience whatever is on the other side of that. And she ultimately that's what she does, and she's rewarded. And everybody says, "What a beautiful purple rose this is! Look, Mama." So it's a joyous kind of expression of living in the moment and trusting and taking the jump, taking the leap.
well, your books all tend to have that kind of thoughtful expression, looking forward, upbeat, carry the soul, carry the heart.
Can I read one of these?
Go ahead. We'll see what we come up with here.
All right, all right. Well, here, this is one of my favorites. It's called an SUV of soccer moms.
All
Okay,
right. Let's see what it goes there.
it says they're big heroes to their little heroes. Mrs. Paulson, Mrs. Rivera, Mrs. Green, Mrs. Gage, Mrs. Russo, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Steen, an SUV of soccer moms who drive here and there most every day to soccer, gymnastics, art, and ballet. Here and there and here too, to football, field hockey, a trip to the zoo. They put on their miles for you and for you. To the next town, they don't lag, so you can relax. They fill a brown bag with plenty of snacks. So why do these moms, why do they do it? They love you, so that's all there is to it.
I
So that
like it. Maybe that's because I'm a kid at heart. I don't know.
killer.
Oh, Bob, I want to say thank you because there's so much energy. Anybody, you become my favorite kids author, just right there. That was, and that's what we like. That's also part of what Author in the Headlights is for, to bring this kind of information to people that don't know, to say, I like that. So I hope you get tons of contact from this kind of thing, and we'll spread it out here on Author in the Headlights. We're going to have your books available through durhampublishing.com,
Oh,
their bookstore,
thank you.
and all those contacts wherever we can get it, because these deserve to be out there. People need to see them, and kids need to read them.
You're very kind. You just made my heart beat faster. I got to talk to my cardiologist about that. Wait. I have to read you one of my other
Okay.
favorites. It's A Halo of Teachers.
Okay.
A Halo of Teachers.
Got it.
I think teachers are angels put on this earth to teach children to stand tall, feel their self-worth. I see them together on open school night. A halo of teachers. Yes, that name feels right because teaching's a calling, like lightning's a spark, and like angels, they lead children out of the dark and into the light of learning for fun about so much more than 1+1, about sharing with others and being kind while growing your body, supporting your mind. Now, when I think of all living creatures, no group's more angelic than a halo of teachers.
I love it. This is fun. We could go on for every single book and then read them. Maybe we'll have to do that down the road. That's a thought. Maybe we can. Hey, next book that comes out, do let me know, please. And we'll
I
put
will.
this back up
It's
there
a book.
again.
The next book is not for children. It's a book for children to give to their teachers. It's called Thank You, Teacher, based on a poem I wrote. It's just a short book. I'm going to make the price be the lowest I can possibly be. I'm not going to even like $4 for the book or something. I could break even.
I like
And
it.
it's written for a child to give to his or her teacher for Valentine's Day or for in
I
June as
love it. You
an end
bet.
of year gift. And my illustrator is wonderful. a student here in Washington State who is a terrific talent, and we'll see what happens. It'll be a simple book, but from the heart.
Okay, when it gets out,
14.
let me know, okay? Bob Zaslow. Mr. Z is so much easier, and we'll keep it that way. And until next time. Sponsored by DurhamandPublishing.com.